If you had a couple $1,000,000 to invest, would you choose an ultra-exclusive golf and beach community up north or a private ocean view villa just minutes from Puerto Vallarta's world-class nightlife? Today, we're comparing North Shore versus South Shore, two of the hottest markets for luxury vacation rentals in the Puerto Vallarta area. I'm Dyani Leal, real estate broker and investment consultant based out of Puerto Vallarta and Banderas Bay. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the Puerto Vallarta area, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would be happy to help you. I represent Dyani Leal Investment Realty, which is brokered by EXP. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It really helps me continue creating more hopefully useful and valuable content for you, and also helps me reach more people. And of course, it ensures that you will stay informed about Puerto Vallarta's lifestyle and real estate industry. We're diving into a question I get all the time. Which market is the best investment for luxury vacation rentals? The North Shore, where Punta Mita, Litibú, and La Cruz de Huanacaxtle are located, or the South Shore, which includes areas south of the romantic zones such as Amapas, Conchas Chinas, Mismaloya, and of course, Garza Blanca. Recently, a couple in their 60s from the US came to me with a pretty clear goal. They had just inherited $2 million and they wanted to diversify internationally and invest in a vacation rental property that would generate both capital gains over the long term and steady cash flow to fund their retirement. We love your website and your podcast, and we trust you to find a place for us, they told me. We don't really know where to begin. It could be anywhere, is what they said. So they had heard of Punta Mita and had some friends who had told them about that, and Nayarit, and they had also traveled to PV over the years. They're from California. It's been a commonplace for people from California to vacation for a very long time. So they're pretty much familiar with the entire region, but really said, it could be anywhere. We just want to achieve these objectives. Oh, and they would arrive in 1 week to tour these properties and would only be here for 2 days. So this search started with a 3 to 4 bedroom with an oceanfront view, anywhere from 1 million to 2 million USD. I was honored that people had reached out to me that I hadn't met. And of course, it happens frequently. I do put myself out there, but it means a lot every time. And when people say, hey, I really trust you to find this property for me, I want to make sure to fulfill those expectations. And a lot of times people have a specific goal in mind, or a very specific region, or an idea of what they want. So when it's an anywhere search, it usually takes a while because the region of Puerto Vallarta and surrounding areas, and the coastal region specifically, stretches pretty far. Between the Punta Mita point and Mismaloya, there's about 2, maybe 3 hours of driving along the coast. So to try to do this and sift through all of these properties and all the potential options and do all the analyses for the potential returns on everything and the rental incomes and have such a large portion of area to choose from was not a small task, but I was up for the challenge. And when I have the opportunity to really dig in and research a very specific niche within the real estate investment industry in the region, I find that the information and everything that I learn in the process is really interesting, and I really want to share it with you. So, of course, I got to work with data and spreadsheets and immediately dove into research, pulling data from AirDNA, analyzing top performing luxury rentals, and speaking with luxury property managers. So at first, I would really expect it to be coming from an oceanfront condo in Bucerias or Zona Romantica, which are really top performing markets in Puerto Vallarta's real estate industry. Well, nope. They were not coming from there. They were coming from the exclusive luxury zones on the outskirts of these areas. On AirDNA, the romantic zone averages about $29K annually in gross revenue. But if you go a little further south, as you can see here, this area, Resort Sur, averages 125K in annual revenue. In the north area, it's even more pronounced, with Bucerias doing an average of 25K annually and Punta Mita averaging 10 times that much at 216K, and its neighboring Litibú averaging 210K in annual revenue. So, of course, this was an important step, narrowing it down to figure out which areas to focus on and then selecting listings within those areas, especially because we only had 2 days. Just as I'm planning and putting together these itineraries, they sent me an email noting that they really only wanted to spend 15 minutes at each property and would prefer to see as many as possible. Needless to say, I overscheduled us a little. So they arrived and we had 2 full days of showings. Day 1 was on the North Shore, starting in Litibú. We actually skipped through the Punta Mita resort area because, believe it or not, there were no listings within their price range, as most listings in that region start at about 4 million USD. But we started at Litibú and then went down to the south Punta Mita region and then to La Cruz, and even checked out an oceanfront property in Bucerias. On day number 2, we explored the South Shore, seeing listings in Amapas, Conchas Chinas, and Mismaloya. The specific differences between these 2 markets and which ones generate the most cash flow and why was pretty interesting to me, and it wasn't necessarily something I would have expected right off the bat. But it of course makes sense knowing it now. So the difference between these 2 markets, the North Shore and the South Shore, was pretty huge, although both offer pretty amazing opportunities, especially when it comes to cash flow. So first, let's talk about the North Shore. The Punta Mita area is truly a luxury market. It's appreciating at an incredible pace thanks to exclusivity and growing international demand. At the heart of the region is a gated peninsula with world-class golf courses, private marinas, and luxury beach clubs. It's the kind of environment that attracts celebrities and A-listers. One key difference between this region in Punta Mita and the South Shore is, although villas do rent really well in the luxury market and are, of course, a great investment in that area, their price point can be pretty high, or you might be looking at an older one that would require some remodeling. However, there's a fair amount of inventory of luxury condos that would appeal to the luxury rental market, which means it should be about 4 bedrooms or more and have an open space concept with big living areas and kitchen and always a pool with an ocean view. Those are some key criteria for a luxury vacation rental. So it was interesting that condos perform better in the luxury market in Punta Mita. And I think one reason why is that in the South Shore area, you're pretty close to Puerto Vallarta, whereas in the North Shore, it's a little bit more remote. So the condos themselves offer an entire social scene, and the common amenities aren't necessarily required because a lot of these luxury condos do have their own pools, so you can just go in and out if you want. But you have the option of utilizing a lot of these common amenities, which almost offer a social life within itself. And that is appealing in the Punta Mita area, where it's less appealing in the Puerto Vallarta area because it's so crowded, and really when you leave, you're trying to get away from people and go to a private area instead of arriving at a condo to be surrounded by more people, if that makes any sense. So that's my take on it, but either way, condos in the North Shore in the luxury rental market perform a little bit better than the South Shore. Another key point that I think is important when you analyze the growth and the sustainability of any region or industry really is that national tourism is more prominent in that region. And when you think of national tourism in Puerto Vallarta, especially in the luxury sector, you're primarily referring to people from Guadalajara, from the capital. And the highway from Guadalajara, which has recently been reconstructed to move faster and streamline trips from Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta. And one of the first stops into Puerto Vallarta is the North Shore area. So that's going to be more convenient if you're coming from Guadalajara to come in, stop and stay in the North Shore area, and then it's also going to be easier for you to get home. Driving all the way to the South Shore adds a lot of extra time to your trip, so it makes it less appealing. So just for the geographical reasons alone, the North Shore is more appealing to the national community. And what that means for the vacation rental market is you're going to see less pronounced seasonality, which is a good thing. You want to know that your rental is going to perform well in the summer months. And the summer months is the low season. It doesn't always do that well, and it's not always appealing to foreigners who might choose to stay home in those hotter months where their climate is cooler or vacation elsewhere. However, people living in other places in Mexico, especially big cities like Guadalajara, do like the opportunity to escape to the beach in the summer. So Puerto Vallarta is a more appealing destination nationally in the low season or the hot summer months. So that's something to consider. And there's the stage of growth. With the North Shore at a more active level of development than the South Shore, which is more established, there are more new construction opportunities in the North Shore area. And appreciation rates are generally higher. So you can expect your property value to increase at a more exponential rate in the northern region, generally speaking. And then finally, there's lifestyle. There are gourmet restaurants scattered throughout the area, boutique stores in the town of Punta Mita, several beach clubs all along the coast in the area, and lots of beach activities like kite surfing, paddle boarding, surfing, and of course there are a lot of high-end golf clubs. So if you like golf, this is definitely going to be a better choice for you. So it's private and serene, but the nightlife is a little bit limited. So your closest cities are Bucerías or Sayulita, but you're pretty far from PV. So it's going to be a bit of a trek into town if you want to go to PV, if you like PV, if you're investing in the actual feel of PV, you're going to be a little bit far away. And this is what my clients' thoughts were, is they weren't too keen on Bucerías or Sayulita, which are totally different vibes and styles, and that has to be what you're interested in if the nightlife and the going out component is something that's important to you. And they really like the idea of being closer to PV and weren't too convinced that Bucerías or Sayulita could compare. But if you like those areas and that's enough for you, they are pretty close and easy to get to. And personally, I love going out in both those areas, so I think they have a lot to offer, but I really do understand that there's nothing like the true original Puerto Vallarta. And PV is much more of a city. So speaking of which, the South Shore is just minutes from Puerto Vallarta's romantic zone, which is really the heart of PV. And as we drove on day 2 south and past the Malecón and saw the whole city, my client's demeanor changed. They were visibly excited and comforted by the real PV. There's an undeniable charm here. It's a mix of old school Vallarta nostalgia with vibrant modern culture, and there's just a lot going on. So one key difference that stood out right away is my clients fell in love with a 4-bedroom condo in the South Shore, just north of Mismaloya and south of Conchas Chinas on the coast. And this was a beachfront condo. I mean, it was absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. The interior design was amazing. It was very tastefully decorated. All of the finishes were top notch. It was just true luxury and just perfect. So they're considering making an offer, and we decide to consult with a property management specialist in the region to give us a little bit more of an idea of the numbers, because they weren't looking that impressive for the level of investment. If you're going to invest around $2 million, my thoughts would be you should hopefully be able to secure an annual revenue over $200K. And this was looking to be barely $100K. So they had never rented the unit before, and I wasn't completely confident that my data was specific to this exact development. So we reached out to a property manager, and she said, no, stay away from condos. She said they do not perform well in the luxury rental market in the South Shore, and people are winding up having to drop their prices and rent them out at a lot less than they thought because there's so much inventory, so many condos, and there's a lot of competition in that area. And in the luxury market, there's also less demand for condos in this region because people come in groups. They travel from the airport. They want to go right to their private house. They don't want to have any shared amenities, no shared pools or interaction with a bunch of people. They just want to have the house to their group and have a private chef and catering and have dinners together and swim at the pool in the morning and go out and explore during the day, go out at night. All of that is the ideal Puerto Vallarta vacation. And it really happens a lot better in a villa, not in a condo. So we redirected our search to villas with a minimum of 5 bedrooms. One huge challenge here is there really isn't a big selection. There's very limited inventory in the villa area. There's a ton of inventory in PV and the South Shore, of course, but most of it is condos under 4 bedrooms. So the property manager did say that 4-bedroom condos do perform a little bit better, but really 5 bedrooms is going to be even better than that. But the problem is that they're really hard to find, she says, and that's the thing. She doesn't have enough of them, and people are always requesting them. But the reason they're hard to find is there just aren't that many of them. And they're not really making them. There aren't several new pre-construction projects of 5-bedroom villas in the South Shore. You really have to work with what you can find, and that's going to mean probably a renovation project. Or for an absolutely perfect new one, you might wind up spending closer to $5 million. So really here, the opportunity lies in the renovation. And the good news is that these luxury vacation rental companies, they're used to this challenge. So they actually offer those renovation services. They facilitate it. They have relationships with people. They can help coordinate the whole thing and give you quotes and just get things moving. So it's definitely something that's possible and something that's possible to do from abroad. But if you don't want to get involved in a big project and deal with all the unforeseen expenses that are probably going to be part of that, then it might not be the best region to look in. Because ultimately, the property managers are pretty clear about this view isn't good enough, this isn't going to rent well, I can't sell this. A lot of villas that look like they could be okay, and they just say, no, I can't work with this. There really are limited options in that area, which is a challenge. But if you find one, a good one, at a good price, and you are willing to renovate it a little bit and furnish it and convert it, the returns look very good, like over $300K annually. And also it has pretty good occupancy. The property manager I spoke with said she aims for always 200 days a year occupied, but usually gets up to 250. So that's actually very good occupancy because this kind of product is really in demand in the vacation rental industry. Okay, and finally, lifestyle. We've already talked about this, but the South Shore is unbeatable. There's nothing like it. It offers breathtaking ocean views. A lot of areas have this mountainous cliff with rocks that's just majestic, honestly, is the only way I can describe it. Misty mountains, and then if you can see those beautiful Mismaloya arches, that's a pretty incredible thing as well. It's just a very magical area. And then, of course, there is the vibrant energy of Puerto Vallarta, which is just minutes away. I mean, the furthest away you're going to get down in Mismaloya might be 20 minutes, which is still not that far. You have a driver drive you and your group. If you're on a vacation rental to town for the day and you go out and then you just take a taxi home or an Uber, it's not very far to commute. It's just almost the same distance as Fluvial is to the romantic zone. So you really have direct access to these amazing restaurants and the nightlife and all the great stuff that's going on in Puerto Vallarta. And as I mentioned, my clients said that that was the setup that they liked a lot more than the more removed and remote North Shore area. So, which is better? Well, it depends on your strategy and your personal preferences. If you want an ultra exclusive environment with brand new developments and guests willing to pay top dollar for condo amenities and privacy, the North Shore, Punta Mita or Litibú specifically, is hard to beat. If you want to be close to restaurants and nightlife and Puerto Vallarta's culture and you're open to renovating, the South Shore's villas can deliver high ROI and strong occupancy. Either way, in the luxury rental niche, you'll want a 4-bedroom and up property and expect to invest a minimum of $2.5 million in either market to secure at least $300K in gross annual revenue, but we're hoping that we could actually make that $300K in net annual revenue. So it really does depend on exactly the setup you choose, but you can really make an investment, and it's not a little, but you can stretch it a pretty long way if you choose selectively and you really do the studies and the work. But what I learned through this is anything less than 2.5 million is going to be kind of hard to work with if you're going to want to secure those really high, steady rental income numbers and really secure your place in that specific niche, which is the luxury vacation rental market. If you're considering a luxury rental investment in Puerto Vallarta or any investment in Puerto Vallarta, I can help you analyze the revenue potential and find the right property for your goals. All of my contact information is in the video description, pinned to the comments, and in the bio of my page to make it easy for you to get in touch with me. Don't hesitate to reach out anytime, and please make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Give us a like and share with anybody who might be interested in this kind of information. Until next time.